My brother and parents secretly canceled my son's birthday party and filmed him crying for fun. But my uncle exposed their video and they lost everything. I, 32, need to vent about something awful my parents and brother did to my son. I'm the oldest of 2 boys in my whole life. I've dealt with my parents favoring my younger brother Marcus, 29, growing up. Everything was always about Marcus. If he wanted my toys, he got them. If we both had events on the same day, they went too. They even made me give up my room when I was 14 because Marcus wanted the bigger space with a better view. When I started college, I had to work part-time jobs to pay for books and expenses while they fully funded Marcus's education, including a car and apartment. Their excuse was always that Marcus was more sensitive and needed extra support. I learned to keep my distance emotionally while staying civil for family peace. I met my wife Felicity, 31F, in my last year of college. She was amazing, smart, kind, and from a loving family that treated everyone equally. Her parents welcomed me like a son, which was eye-opening after years of being second best in my own family. When we got engaged after 3 years of dating, my parents barely reacted. They were more excited about Marcus getting a promotion at work that month. Our wedding was a nightmare. Thanks to Marcus, during our reception, right after our first dance, he grabbed the microphone and announced his engagement to his girlfriend, Anna. My parents immediately started crying and hugging. Him completely ignoring that it was our wedding day, they spent the rest of the night talking about Marcus and Anna's future plans instead of celebrating with us. Felicity was furious, but I was sadly used to it. Things got worse when our son Tommy was born 4 years ago. My parents visited once in the hospital, stayed for 15 minutes, then left. Because Marcus called about having a cold, they barely acknowledged Tommy's existence. That first year when Marcus and Anna had their daughter Emma, 2 years. Later, my parents were over the moon. They babysit Emma every weekend, take her on trips, and even set up a college fund for her. Meanwhile, they've seen Tommy maybe 5 times in his whole life. Despite their behavior, Felicity and I tried to maintain a polite relationship. For Tommy's sake, we send them photos, invite them to his milestones, and keep them updated on his life. They usually have excuses not to come, but we wanted Tommy to know his grandparents even if they weren't very involved. When Tommy's 4th birthday approached, we decided to have it at Chuck's Pizza Place, his favorite restaurant. We invited about 20 people, some family members, kids from his preschool class, and a few neighborhood friends. Everyone RSVP'd, yes, including my parents, who surprisingly seemed excited to come. We spent weeks planning games, ordering decorations, and making sure everything would be perfect the day of the party. Felicity and I took Tommy early to set up. He was so excited, wearing his new Spider-Man t-shirt and talking nonstop about playing with his friends. We had a special cake with his favorite characters and gift bags for all the kids. Tommy kept running to the window every time he heard a car, expecting to see his friends arrive, but nobody came. Not a single person showed. Up we waited, 1 hour then. 2. Tommy kept asking when his friends would get there, and we didn't know what to tell him. Felicity tried calling some of the parents, but got no response after 3 hours of waiting. Tommy was sobbing, asking if people didn't like him or if he did something wrong. It was heartbreaking, watching Heist's excitement turn to confusion and then sadness. That's when Felicity's Uncle James, 55M, who's a prominent lawyer in our city, finally arrived. He was running late because of a meeting, but looked furious when he walked in, immediately pulled out his phone and showed us a video he'd recorded in the parking lot earlier. He had arrived on time, but stopped outside to take an important call. That's when he overheard my parents and Marcus laughing by their cars. He started recording when he heard them bragging about their perfect plant. They had spent the previous day calling every single party guest, pretending Toby, me, or Felicity, telling them Tommy was very sick and the party was canceled. They thought it was hilarious that we'd be sitting there waiting for people who would never come. Their reason: they were angry we missed Emma's dance recital the previous weekend, something they never actually told us about. Marcus had suggested ruining Tommy's party as revenge, and our parents eagerly helped plan it. They wanted to teach us a lesson about family loyalty and how it felt to be excluded I was livid. They deliberately hurt an innocent child. Their own grandson over a recital we didn't even know about. Felicity was crying, and Uncle James was already making calls to his law firm partners. We took our heartbroken son home, and it blocked my parents and Marcus on everything: phone, social media, email the next day. My parents acted like nothing happened. They sent Tommy a generic happy birthday text through Felicity's phone and asked when we were coming to visit next. Marcus even posted pictures from Emma's recital on Facebook, tagging us and making passive-aggressive comments about how some family members don't support each other. I'm completely done with them. They crossed an unforgivable line by deliberately hurting my child. Felicity's family is helping us plan a makeup party for Tommy, but I can't get past what they did. My parents are telling mutual friends that we overreacting and that it was just a hard, harmless prank to teach us about family commitment. Some relatives are saying I should let it go for the sake of family peace, but how can I ever trust them around my son again? The worst part is seeing Tommy still affected by it. He's become anxious about his friends not showing up to playdate. She asks us if his grandparents and uncle hate him. No child should have to deal with that kind of emotional manipulation, especially from family update one. Things have gotten intense. Since my last post, the past 2 weeks have been a roller coaster of shocking discoveries and confrontations after what happened. At Tommy's party, Uncle James started quietly investigating my parents. And Marcus, what he found was disturbing. Let me start with the biggest revelation back. When my grandparents' dad's parents passed away 5 years ago, they actually left both Marcus and me equal inheritances. I never knew about this because my parents somehow managed to keep it completely hidden from me. They controlled all communication with the estate lawyer and handled everything themselves, claiming they were making it easier for everyone. Uncle James discovered that my parents convinced the estate lawyer that I had signed papers giving up my share to Marcus. They forged my signature on multiple documents. The inheritance wasn't massive, about $775,000 each, but it was meant to be split equally between us. Instead, Marcus got the full $150,000 while I got nothing. No wonder he could afford that fancy wedding and new house. While Felicity and I struggled with student loans, the worst part about this discovery was finding out that Marcus and my parents regularly joked about how stupid I was for not knowing about them. Uncle James found emails between them discussing how to keep spending the money without me finding out. They even planned vacations using my share, all while telling extended family that I was bad with money and couldn't afford to join family trips. But that's just the beginning. Remember how Marcus bragged about ruining Tommy's party? Well, his ego got the better of him. He made several private Facebook posts bragging about their epic prank to his close friends. He wrote in detail about how they systematically called each parent, making up different stories about Tommy being sick, and then watched us wait at the restaurant like idiots. The most disturbing part was that he actually filmed parts of it on his phone to show his friends how hilarious it was. One of his friends felt sick watching the video and secretly sent everything to Uncle James. The video showed my parents and Marcus hiding behind cars in the parking lot, filming Tommy looking out their restaurant window for his friends. They were laughing and making jokes about him crying, saying things like, maybe Noah will learn he's not so special, and Amay is the only grandchild who matters. Uncle James is methodical. He spent days gathering evidence, the forged inheritance documents, the video evidence, the Facebook posts, text messages between my parents and Marcus planning the party sabotage, and even security camera footage from the restaurant showing them in the parking lot. Then he waited for the perfect moment to expose everything. That moment came during our church's annual Family Day celebration. Last Sunday, my parents are or were very active in our church community. Mom runs the charity committee and has spent years cultivating an image as a caring Christian woman. Dad is on the church board and handles a lot of the financial decisions. They've spent decades building their reputation as pillars of the community. During the event, when everyone was gathered for the family presentations, Uncle James asked to make an announcement. He connected his phone to the projector and played the video of them mocking Tommy. The room went completely silent as everyone watched my parents and Marcus laughing at a crying 4-year-old. The reaction was immediate and intense. People were horrified. Some of Mom's closest church friends walked out. immediately when Uncle James explained about the forged inheritance documents and years of mistreatment. Even more people. Left, Mom tried to grab them microphone to explain that it was just a joke that got out of hand, but no one was buying it. Marcus completely lost control. He started yelling at me in front of. Everyone saying I planned this to ruin them. In his rage, he admitted to everything: the party, sabotage, hiding the inheritance, years of manipulating situations to make me look bad to family. He even screamed that Tommy deserved what happened for being a spoiled brat who took attention away from Emma. His wife Anna looked mortified and left with Emma telling him not to come home. The church committee immediately asked my parents to step down from their positions. Several families who've known us since childhood have cut contact with. Then Marcus's in-laws called him disgraceful and said they were ashamed to be connected to him in our small community. Word spreads fast and my parents' reputation is completely ruined. They've been calling and texting non-stop demanding I fix this mess. Marcus tried threatening to sue Uncle James for recording them without consent. But Uncle James just laughed. He's one of the best lawyers in our state, and said he'd love to see Marcus try to explain his actions in court. Tommy's makeup party is planned for next weekend. Several church families have offered to help, wanting to show him that not everyone is cruel. Many have apologized for believing my parents' lies about us. Over the years, I still can't believe my own family would hurt an innocent child over petty jealousy, but at least now everyone sees them for who they really are. I'll update again soon because things are still unfolding. Marcus's job wants to meet with emergently, and Uncle James mentions something about suspicious financial transactions they discovered while gathering evidence. Update 2. The fallout from Uncle James's church reveal keeps growing after everyone saw my parents and Marcus's true colors. Our extended family started looking more closely at Marcus's supposedly perfect life. What they found shocked everyone. Remember how? Marcus always bragged about his successful career in finance, how he constantly talked about his bonuses and promotions. Well, Uncle James's firm handles some legal work for Marcus's company, and during their investigation of the inheritance situation, they discovered something disturbing. Marcus has been stealing from his company for years. He wasn't embezzled millions, but he had a clever system going. He used company credit cards for personal expenses, fancy restaurants, family vacations, expensive gifts for Emma. He faked expense reports, claiming business meetings that never happened. He even charged our parents' cruise last year to his company account. When his boss found out, they fired him immediately and started an internal audit. But that's not even the worst part. The video of Tommy's party finally made its way to Anna through her sister. She was horrified because Marcus had told her a completely different story. He claimed Tommy was really sick and the party was canceled last minute. That's why they were at the restaurant parking lot, supposedly checking if we'd put up cancellation notices when Anna confronted Marcus about lying and stealing. He had a complete meltdown. He blamed everything on me, claiming I'd always been jealous of his success and set him up to fail. He said the stolen money was rightfully his anyway because he deserved it more. Anna packed up Emma's things that same night and moved in with her parents. My parents are desperate now. Most of their friends have cut contact. Dad's boss suggested early retirement because clients were uncomfortable working with him after seeing the video. Mom can't show her face at her usual social groups anymore. They showed up at our house last week crying about how they've changed and want to make things right. They brought expensive toys for Tommy, but we didn't even open the door. The most frustrating part, they're still defending Marcus. Mom called Felicity's parents, trying to explain that Marcus only acted badly because we've always been jealous of him. She actually said Tommy should forgive them because Emma is suffering without their dad. When Felicity's mom pointed out that they caused this situation, Mom hung up on her. Uncle James is working on recovering my inheritance. The bank found some suspicious transfers from Marcus' accounts right after our grandparents died. Turns out he spent most of the inheritance on his wedding and house down payment. My parents claim they can't repay it because they use their retirement savings to help Marcus with his current legal troubles. The family is completely divided. Now our Aunt Jenny thinks we should forgive them because family is family. But Uncle Steve, who was also at the church that day, says he always suspected something was off about how they treated me. Marcus's in-laws have been telling everyone about his stealing and lying, so even his childhood friends are avoiding him. Now Tommy had his makeup party last weekend. It was amazing. So many people came to support him. The community really stepped up. With decorations, food, and presents, he was so happy. But he still sometimes asks why his grandparents and uncle were mean to him. We're focusing on the good people in his life instead of trying to explain adult cruelty to a 4-year-old. My parents keep trying different tactics to contact us. They've sent messages through church members, left voicemails from new numbers, and even mailed a long letter about how God wants us to forgive them. I threw it away without reading past the first paragraph. Marcus tried showing up at my office, but security removed. Some things just can't be fixed with apologies. They spent years lying, manipulating, and hurting us. Then tried to break my son's heart as revenge for something that wasn't even our fault, even if they genuinely regret it. Now I can't risk them hurting. Tommy again. I'll post one final update soon because this situation isn't quite over yet. My parents are getting more desperate as they lose support, and Marcus's legal troubles are catching up with him. Update 3. This will be my last update because we finally closed this chapter of our lives. The past few months have been chaotic, but things are finally settling into a new normal. Let me tell you how everything ended up last month. My parents tried something unbelievable. It was Tommy's preschool graduation, and despite our clear wishes, they showed up unannounced. They walked into the school carrying gifts and cameras, acting like nothing was wrong. Luckily, we had informed the school about our situation, and they immediately called Security Tommy, saw them being escorted out, and got so scared he didn't want to go back to school for a week. That incident made our decision final. We got a restraining order against all of them. My parents and Marcus, Uncle James, handled everything perfectly, presenting evidence of their harassment and the emotional trauma they caused. Tommy Marcus tried fighting it in court, making a scene about his rights as an uncle and how we were alienating Emma from her cousin. The judge saw right through him, especially after seeing the birthday party video. The restraining order was granted immediately. Anna filed for divorce after discovering more of Marcus's lies. She found out he'd been telling Emma that we were the reason their family was falling apart. He convinced Emma that we hated her and made her grandfather lose his job. Emma started acting out at school and having nightmares. Anna put her in therapy and moved in with her parents permanently. She told me Marcus has been harassing her too, demanding she defend him to her family. The inheritance situation finally got resolved. Uncle James found enough evidence of fraud to force my parents and Marcus to repay what they stole. They had to sell their vacation home in Florida, the one they bought partly with my inheritance and always let Marcus use, but never invited us to. They're also making monthly payments for my dad's pension. It's not about the money anymore, but at least there's some justice. My parents made one last desperate attempt at reconciliation through our old pastor. They convinced him to visit us, claiming they'd found God again and deserved another chance. The pastor who witnessed their behavior at the church event actually advised us to keep our distance. He said he's seen them showing more concern about their reputation. In genuine remorse, we moved to a different neighborhood, further from them, but closer to Felicity's family. Tommy is thriving in his new school. He's making friends easily and hasn't had anxiety about parties or playdates in weeks. Felicity's family has been amazing. Her parents treat Tommy like he's their only grandchild, and Uncle James has become the grandfather figure Tommy deserves. Marcus lost everything: his job, marriage, house, and reputation. Last I heard, he's living in our parents' basement, still blaming everyone else for his problems. He tried reaching out to mutual friends, claiming he's changed, but no one believes him anymore. They deserve each other's company. I don't regret anything. Some extended family members still think I'm being too harsh, but they didn't see me 4-year-old crying because his own grandparents ruined his birthday out of spite. Some things can't be forgiven, especially when there's no real remorse. We're completely done with them. Tommy will grow up knowing he's loved and valued, not manipulated and hurt my parents. And Marcus showed us who they really are, and we believe them. Sometimes the best family is the one you choose, not the one you're born into. That's it. The end of this chapter, thanks to everyone who supported us. Through this journey, we're finally at peace with our decision to cut them out of our lives permanently. Tommy's happiness and well-being are all that matter now.